incredibly hard for MAGA to try to argue this, that it's so apparent they're not living in reality when they try to counter these arguments.
Virginia, we are counting on you.
From petty news for real live, local, and Saturday making. Or aren't you the silliest marshmallow woman?
applied to over 35 jobs. I 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 applied to over 35 jobs.
Why?
Hey, DFG, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, let DFG know that I'm not going to be able to participate tonight. I got such a bad case of bronchitis. I've been up all night coughing, and I got all kind of emergency inhalers, and I'm just completely out of it. So y'all keep me in your prayers, and I'll be
I
with
heard
you.
you, Big Al.
Okay. Yeah,
Will do.
yeah, this is it's tearing me up, man. So I love you guys, and you all take care.
All right, take care. Get better.
All right, thank you.
What's wrong with this thing? Good evening, everybody. This is DFG, the man with the golden voice, lady's choice, and of course, smooth as a Rolls Royce. I'm coming to you live from the 571 where I'm having fun and I'm getting things done. Tonight's show is going to be a little different. I got this from Miss Andrine in referring to 777 with dating guidance. But before I start, I'm gonna do a little monologue. But before I start, I'm gonna say, "What's up, Chocolate Pearl, my favorite girl? What's going on?"
Hey, 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 y'all. It's Chocolate Pearl calling you from Duval. I understand what Big Al's going through. I woke up with sinuses myself this morning, but my daily allergy medicine kicked in like it was supposed to. I got I got to get better as well, but I understand him with his bronchitis. I know it's kicking your butt. I hope you feel better.
Same here, Big Al. We wanna make sure that we give you that love. You've always been you've been part of the family from day one. So I understand. Trust me, them allergies, you down there in Georgia is probably worse than it is up here in Virginia. But trust me, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it myself. It feel like I've been smoking reefers. And if you look at my eyes, they pretty glassine, and I ain't touched no THC. What's going on, Big Dabs? And Miss Nikki on YouTube. I want to welcome everybody to YouTube land and Instagram land and Rumble land and TikTok land, especially those who come on my TikTok. You can look at my profile if you want to get on the show on the Zoom line. Just come on and I'll bring you up. Just keep it classy, keep it clean, and keep it everything else in between. Individuals interested in numerology understand that 777 is indicative of the following. One, alignment, suggesting one has an appropriate emotional or relational path. Intuition over impulse. They advocate for trust on one internal's assessment of potential partner. Slow developing connections, emphasizing quality over speed in relationship. And spiritual compatibility, encouraging the pursuit of partners whose values align with one's own. Um, the spiritual part, the Bible says, "Be ye equally yoked." So that kind of fits into that. With practical dating advice, you identify individuals who contribute to mental clarity rather than confusion. That's a big one because some of us like excitement, so confusion is perfect. But we want to we want a partner that has you thinking clearly and not wondering what you did wrong and stuff like that. Now I know I've fallen short of that plenty of times, but um, we all fall short, but we just keep pressing on. Selecting partners who honor personal boundaries. If you're a habitual line stepper, you don't need to be around me because I don't want, boundaries aren't suggestions. They're what people do to keep their sanity. And observing recurring patterns and trusting one's intuition. We all have intuition to a certain extent. We have a feeling in our gut, and basically, based off experiences, lives, and inputs, we do have those things that help us, but what can help us can also hurt us. And I'm going to share this quick video that I made today, and hopefully it'll go through.
Seekers of romantic wisdom and survivors of questionable Tinder dates. Today's topic: the mystical and oh so objective 777 dating rule. A concept that dares to mix numerology with relationship science as if the universe cared about your Bumble profile. We're about to dissect why numbers sneak into dating advice and whether you should actually trust them or just trust your gut, which probably knows more than any spreadsheet. Let's start with numerology. In this world, 777 is basically your lucky number, signaling cosmic alignment and a gentle nudge to trust your intuition. So, if you're dating someone who claims to see 777 everywhere, maybe they're spiritually attuned, or maybe they just binge read numerology memes. Either way, it's supposed to remind you that you already know what's good for you, even if you ignore it and swipe right anyway. Now for the science part. If you can call rating people with numbers scientific, the 777 rule says you should aim for a partner who scores at least a 7 out of 10 in attraction, personality, and compatibility. Because nothing says romance like spreadsheet-based scoring. The idea is simple. Don't chase extremes. Someone who's a 10 out of 10 in attractiveness, but a 3 in personality, you'll be bored in a week. Good luck for seeing chemistry. The 7th sweet spot is supposed to promise balance and wait for its stability. It's the relationship equivalent of ordering a medium coffee. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to keep you from falling asleep at brunch. So, what happens when you combine numerology's trust your vibes mantra with practical score your dat e-advice? You get a method that's part spiritual, part spreadsheet perfect for the indecisive and the overthinkers alike. The result? You judge your partner on their energy and then immediately reduce them to 3 numbers. Who says romance is dead? Alright, here's how you apply this wisdom. Trust your instincts. Yes, even when they're screaming at you to run after one date. Sometimes, your gut is smarter than your head, especially if your head's running on 3 hours of sleep. Assess the connection objectively. Translation, don't let a smooth talker or a dazzling smile fool you into ignoring red flags. If their idea of fun is arguing with wait staff, maybe take off a point or two. See consistent behavior. Sure, they're charming on Mondays, but what about Friday night after the 3rd round of drinks? Practice patience in relationship development, because fairy tale romances are mostly in Disney movies, and even those feature drama, talking animals, and lots of therapy-worthy plot twists. Prioritize alignment and stability. If you feel like you're starring in a soap opera every other week, maybe it's time to look for a 7 in drama reduction. Congratulations! You've survived today's deep dive into dating by numbers. Whether you're a numerology devotee, a spreadsheet addict, or just someone desperate for romance, without drama, the 777 approach says, stay balanced, stay skeptical, and please keep your standards somewhere above. He texts back, if this wisdom makes your dating life any less complicated, share it with your friends or enemies. Everyone could use a little stability. Until next time, happy scoring.
Well, that was interesting. Chocolate Pearl, what do you think about that? I know you're past the dating phase and you're in about to be betrothed. You're in the betrothed phase, but what do you think about that?
I was just asking Dan, is he my 7? If he's my 7 out of 7. I
Well,
mean,
I mean, it isn't to be as it is the in in the eye of the beholder. A lot of times we overrate ourselves and underrate our partners, and sometimes we underrate us and overrate our partners. So it's got to be a mix, and I look at it as not perfection, just above average. Because seven,
but the thing about it, we tend to look for perfect, but nobody's perfect.
right.
And why would you, if you're not perfect, why would you expect for your partner to be?
Yeah, no, but that's the problem is that, like I said, sometimes we overrate ourselves and underrate our partner, and sometimes underrate our partner. We underrate our partner and overrate ourselves. So, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, the
But
opposite. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's a problem with society today. We don't know what we really want. We think we have an idea of what we want. Just think, my ideal of a mate for me was, tall, bald head with a beard. I guess unfortunately it's just like my brother. But that was my idea of what I thought I wanted. Somebody with a, real good paying job, no drama in their life and stuff like that. But you can't get that. You know what I mean? You can't get
right,
everything that you want. Um,
right.
I I waited and allowed God to choose what He felt was right for me. I didn't expect to be with Dabs, but because I looked past anything, even his charming smile, and got to know him like God intended for me to do so, all of that what his outer exterior was way less than what his inner exterior was. His inner exterior is the one that got me. And it is, to me, I felt that that's what God wanted me to have. Someone that's going to generally love me for me with all my flaws
And you
and
got
help
tons of
me grow.
those.
I got plenty of, yeah, I got plenty of them. But he
That we
loves
are
me.
our mother's children.
Yeah, he loves me unconditionally. And I don't believe I've ever had that. Even though I was married before, I still don't think I had that. I have that the guy who helps me build my life, um, and he shows his love, not just verbally say it,
Right.
because you can just say it all day long, but don't really mean it. I always say, one, practice what you preach, And what you say, you need to mean it. Mean what you say what you mean.
No, I
And
I agree with that. I definitely
type
agree
thing.
with that.
So that, so for me, if anybody asks me, why you chose him, I chose him for love, unconditional love. And unconditional love comes with a big package. You gotta love somebody through all of their hurts, all of their bruises, all of their flaws. And he does. And I
You
believe I do it back, vice versa for him. I hope I do. Do I? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. I'm looking at is also, one of the things that we look at is attraction. How attracted are we to our partner? That's a 1 through 10. Personality, because you can be extremely handsome, extremely pretty, but have a crappy, like the video said, but have a crappy personality. Does that make you a 7? If you're 10 in looks and 3 in personality, nah, you just like, no, I can't deal with that. And compatibility, and I say this all the time, in order to be in a relationship, you have to be able to relate. If you can't
Right.
relate to the person, then really you shouldn't be with them because you'll never understand them and they'll never understand you. There's some things that people just don't understand about people, and that's going to be, you can't 100% understand everybody. But if you can get a 7%, 70% compatibility, you're doing a lot better than a lot of other people. And that's, the idea is to seek balanced, sustainable relationship. A partner who rates 7 across all categories may prove to be more suitable for long-term stability than someone exhibiting extremes in different areas. Now, knowing you for your whole life, Chocolate Pearl, I would say that you don't, I mean, you've looked at the inside of people. Because I remember I used to clown you about your friends. I'm like, you must choose your friends from the discount bin. But they were good, they were generally good people.
Yes, they were.
They were generally good people. So,
Or they are, put it that way. I'm not gonna say were.
well,
They
a
are.
couple of them are no longer with us. So, you know,
Oh, that's true.
said, and I it was one of those things. It was one of those things that we all did, and just growing up, how our tastes have changed, but we kept the coreness of ourselves. We want to treat people like we want to be treated. Miss Kim told me earlier today that she got a shirt saying I respond to, is basically says, I give back what you give me. So where are we gonna start? If you start
Right.
crappy, I'm
I
gonna be
like that.
crappy. If you start good, you're gonna be good. And that's kind of, yeah, it's a technique, but most of the time, we try to settle the situation. Of person's coming in, they all nasty, and you know, I know a few times I done told people, I'm like, excuse me, who do you think you're talking to? He was said, you can call me the deuce because I ain't the one. And that usually, you and I have had those kind of conversations when we both got mouthy at each other, and we kind of had to take a step back. Who said you forgot who you talking to? But we could do that with each other. If you got to do that with your partner, more than once, that's not a good thing. But at least
Right.
at least at least you're addressing it, and hopefully you can get something out of that. But yeah, no, trust me, I know we both, like I said, we both did that to each other. Who you talk? He said, who you think you talking to? I ain't so and so. But that's life. Um, is is 777 a good thing, Miss Kim? I sent you the video earlier. What do you think about the video?
I mean, it was. I had never, like I said before, I never heard of 777, and I don't deal a lot with numbers or astrology or stuff like that because I know a lot of people believe in that, but I've never been one that dibble dabbled in it. So it was interesting to me to, hear the video about the 777.
And did I get your shirt somewhat right?
It says I match energy. So how we gonna act today?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I got it. I didn't get it exact. I got it close
We was
though.
close. Yeah.
But definitely, because like Chocolate Pearl said, not everybody's a 10 in some everybody could be a 10 in one thing. I really believe that. You can be in attractiveness, you can be a 10, you can have a 10 personality, or you can be compatible with somebody 100%. But all three are not, there's no such thing as a 10 all across the board.
Right. I feel like in a relationship or a marriage, it's like where I'm weak at, you may be stronger at. So we balance each other out.
Yeah, it should be balanced. It should be
If one
balanced, but
person shouldn't carry all the weight. So if one person carrying all the weight, you might as well be by yourself.
yeah, we talked about that with someone that
Yeah.
and they ran out of gas. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Because it ain't my story, ain't my ending.
Right.
But the idea is to seek balance. To seek balance, like you said, reciprocation is balance. Um, giving as much as you can give, because we can't all give 100% all the time. We're just not wired that way. But we can give our best. Sometimes our best ain't good enough. We can do everything right and what not get the right result, or we can screw up everything and get the right result. But you got to understand, it's a life is not a a straight line, and I think that's what gets people in trouble because they think life is supposed to be a straight line. I'm supposed to do this by this. I'm supposed to be here by there, and then when they don't get there, or they don't they put too many issues on their partner that they're broken inside and haven't healed, then you
Yeah.
have disappointment and misunderstandings.
A lot of people don't have realistic expectation when it comes to, various relationships. And then some people like want everybody to think that, you know, I've had friends in the past that every time you talk to them about a relationship or either if they were married, it's like they're floating on cloud nine. Every relationship gonna have its good days and bad days.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's not true, but every time, I know you don't want to put your business out there, but everything ain't just glorious and cloud nine and all the roses and stuff. It might be like that at the beginning, but like I said, everybody have their good days versus their bad days.
Exactly. And, the Temptations had that song Cloud Nine. So I'm doing
Yeah.
fine on Cloud Nine. You can be what you want to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes what we want to be ain't what we need to be. And sometimes we run into it, we bring the whole world and dump it in our partner's lap and expect them to fix it or get it or help me get it right. And that's,
But you can't
and like
expect your partner to fix it for you. Both of you got to work together.
yeah, but like I said, I agree, but sometimes people just bring it, sometimes people just want to carry, not want to carry, but they carry stuff because they don't think that the other person will be able to carry it, and that's the sad
And
part.
you know what? To be honest, I used to be like that because I've always had to do everything on my own. So I just wanted, if you didn't do it for me right then, I didn't ask again. And I wanted to just well, I'm gonna just do it. But now, the older I've gotten, I've learned to kind of step back and, not always be the one to get it done, to
Right.
allow someone else to help me.
Right.
And
No,
it took some, well, it took some, it took a while, but
yeah,
I've learned.
you had to get in your prayer closet and
Yeah, because
continually pray
if
and
I asked
work.
you once and you didn't come put it together, then I would try to put it together. But it's a learning experience, to have someone when you're not used to having someone to lean on, and to
Right.
have someone to lean on, it makes a difference.
Right. Right. And that's the thing is that, Bill, remember that song Bill Withers, Lean on Me when you're
Yeah,
not strong.
yeah,
And that's a lot of times we're so used to being individualistic and not asking for help because we don't think people be able to help. But it's, you didn't come here on your own and you probably won't leave on your own. But what you do in between is the best you can and ask for help when you need it. Sometimes it's going to be there, sometimes it's not going to be there. And you got to be not fine with it, but you got to understand that not everybody can help at every time. What's going on, Miss Sum? Welcome to the show. Today we're talking about 777 rules in dating.
Hey guys, what's going on?
It's all about you. It's all about you. How did you and your husband meet?
Oh wow. I met my husband on the summer school bus of high school. He was graduating and I think I had another year to go. And I'll never forget the first time I saw him. Um he was just chilling with his friends. I just was a guy that I saw on the bus. And how I can pinpoint it is he came on the bus, I'll never forget it, in front of his friends, and he was like, "Yo, I got this new tape, this new cassette tape just came out. It's called the Fugees." And everybody was like, "The Fugees, the Fugees." And he was like, "Yeah, it's this new group called the Fugees." And so that's how I can pinpoint when around what time we first, you know what I mean, what was going on around that time. But
Right.
just, nothing. I think at the end he gave me his number when he was getting ready to get off the bus. He gave his number to a friend to give to me, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, nah, nah, Jerome ain't, he didn't do that. So I called him in disbelief. And then after that, we've been together ever since.
Okay. Okay. The Fugees. So the Fugees, the album, the score is just turned 30.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, Buffalo Soldier, Dreadlock Rasta.
That's it. That's it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that year everybody pumped that album. That was like basically that Wu-Tang's 36 chain Return to the 36 Chambers, Biggie's album Ready to Die. All of those was like the soundtrack to the 90s.
Yeah.
SWV, their
Yes,
first
it was a
album.
beautiful time. It was a beautiful time. Beautiful time.
And I was saying that, you know, I miss the groups of the 80s and 90s. You don't have any groups anymore. Everybody's a solo singer. Everybody doing their own thing. But you don't have that. And I think because everybody, it's a product of society where everybody is, you know, getting theirs, that we lost community, we lost teamwork, and hence that's why a lot of us think we tens and everybody else ain't. Said I'm hot, you're not. I'm it, you're, sugar honey iced tea. However, a lot of us lack mirrors. A lot of us lack mirrors, and I don't mean physical mirrors, but introspective mirrors. We don't look at ourselves and saying, how can I improve myself? You always looking at the other person like this person ain't on my level. You ain't on your level. Because if you can't do for you what you want people to do for you, you ain't it. You sugar honey iced tea. And I really believe that. My main man Daz, what's going on? Holla at your boy.
Okay,
All
now
right,
say
you got the mute on. What's happening? What's going on, y'all?
Hey, you heard what Chocolate Pearl said about y'all and how y'all more complimentary, and that's how it's supposed to be when you ask one.
Right.
What do you think about the 777 rule when it comes to dating?
Um, tell you the truth, I didn't know much about it until that video you played. As far as I don't know, as far as that goes, it's hard to say because I mean, people meet people differently. People, it's just, and like she said, you look for certain things, you don't expect certain stuff, and the way you go about how you're looking for somebody sometimes is just, might not be the right way. And trying to use, I mean, we could try to use, different kind of, I don't know, I guess I don't know what to call it, 777 mythology or something, different kind of, ways to try to do stuff, but
Right,
not necessarily,
numerology.
yeah, was not necessarily, the right way to do it. But we get as people, we get so hooked up into certain, things that, we I don't know how to say it. We just we get too comfortable. And then especially if we get into something, okay, this is it. This is what I did last time. This is what I'm doing again doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna work again. So
so you're
Right,
saying everybody is different, even
right.
everyone you get with is a different
Yeah.
scenario.
Yep.
right, and that's just dealing with people, and that's why I say any type of relationship you have to be able to relate. If you can't relate with the person, accept not you don't have to accept everything, but you can accept most of the things that they do, good and bad. Because
Right.
believe it or not, some people think that they're not good enough for the person that they're with, and that turns into self-sabotage and talking yourself down off of the ledge that if they didn't want you, they wouldn't want to be with you. So you have to, I mean, and some people get used. Yeah, that's life. But, you be around the people who want you and want the people you want to be around. That's
Right.
that's the way I look at it. And another thing, if you're bringing confusion to people, if everything you're doing every day is drama was from when we was in our teens and 20s.
Right. Yeah.
I really believe
Exactly.
that. We wanted that excitement, guys and gals. You ain't want no good person. You wanted a person that made you feel alive. And
Right.
then after a while, you get tired of that, and you wanna be with somebody for more than just the ups and downs. You want somebody who's there for you and who wants to be around you.
And what's one of the things we said too is, you get, especially getting, up in age, it's like, you got time for this tomfoolery. You got time. I don't have time for all this nonsense. I need to get, to where I need to be. And, it's kind of like she mentioned before, we talked about it. I was like, okay, where you at? What's your plans? Because I ain't got time to wait. I got things. I'm getting old. I
He
got things
said,
to do.
what we
Where
gonna do? What
what
we
we gonna
gonna do?
do? That's it. What we gonna do?
What we
You
gonna
know where
do?
we at?
He said, because I
Yeah.
don't need no friends. I don't need no more
Right.
friends.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, when you're ready, you got somebody who you could be ready with. Now now that's you still have issues with other things, but overall, if you plan on growing old with somebody, you want to be able to stand them when you're in the same room. Because
Right.
in our
Exactly.
parents and grandparents' age, yeah, they've been together 50 years, but Grandma sleeping over in another room.
Right.
Granddad sleep on the couch. They together because they know they ain't got nowhere else to go.
Right.
And you don't ever really want to be like that. But
I've
it's under
actually seen relationships like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A friend, that wasn't really a friend, but a guy that lived close to us used to do our yard and stuff when I did my last split up. He talking about, oh, him and his wife do that. You guys just no, that's not me. That's you. That's fine with you. That's not how people live. How you gonna do it?
I mean, because some people are so used to when you've been by yourself for so long, it's hard to let somebody inside your gates.
That's true.
Well, I guess that's
And
the same. I guess they were together for so long, and then things is comfortable, although they're
right.
not, physically married. I mean, they're married, but they're not, they're
They
separated.
mentally divorced.
Right. So you just go ahead and keep on going with the flow,
So what's stopping them from ending the relationship, in your opinion?
because well, what he said was that they fine. They live on one side, he live on the other side, and everybody's comfortable with what's going on. I mean, well, okay, if you're comfortable with what's going on, that's fine. That's your thing.
It
But that's the way.
makes it makes sense, but it don't make sense, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Think
It's
about it. It's
like,
like
that's not what I mean. Yeah, I can understand. But like I said, when you've been by yourself for so long, it's hard to bring somebody into your world. It's hard for that person to deal with the day to day, and that's why they probably stay on the other side of the house. So yeah, I can deal with you. I can love you from afar, from a
right.
distance, and we good together, but we ain't good together. If that makes sense.
Right. Oh
Yes.
yeah.
And I had a coworker. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. He and his ex-wife. I don't even know if he might have passed on because he was in his 60s in 2005. So I mean 2007. So yeah, he and his ex-wife would go on vacation together. Now they didn't live together. They didn't live together. They had
Yeah.
been divorced for like 15, 20 years. Their kids were grown. But whenever she went on vacation, he went with her.
Okay.
Oh, so he
And
was a vacation buddy,
yeah,
companion.
yeah. But I mean, because people get used to stuff and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go to this place. I don't want to go by myself, so I'll go with somebody I know, even though we ain't gonna do nothing. We gonna be together. I got somebody who knows me. I guess that was the thinking behind that. But overall, it's just crazy though. Um, I had a hard time understanding it, but as I got older, and I'm pushing 60, I'm like, I can see why they did that because you don't want to, you know, it's hard starting over. It's real hard starting over, especially at our ages, where most of us in here got a 5 or a 6 in the front. Miss Some has got a 4, but
It's
she,
really nothing out there.
yeah,
So it's best to stick with who you got.
yeah, and you know, and that's the thing is that are you going to continue chasing perfection, or are you going, and I'm not saying 7 from 10 is not settling, especially if you were 5. Because most of us, tell you the truth, 80% of us are between 4 and 6. Slightly below average, average, slightly above average. 10% are 7 through 10. 10% are 3 through 1. But we all kind of, and this is the crazy part, with all of this individuality, we used to understand where we were on the scale. We knew I say that, you know, Gabrielle Union was my next ex-wife, and Whitney Houston was my next ex-wife. But I know I ain't had no chance with them. Even if I had the money, I don't think I had a chance with them. But it's nice to say, but you got to understand where you got to know where you stand. You got to know and be realistic about it. Yeah, I can have money. Money brings me up a point or two, but I'm fat, so I lose that point. I mean, I'm not obese, but I mean, I'm way over my playing days weight. But overall, I think I'm above average on on a good day. Sometimes I'm below average, and that includes personality, that includes, attractiveness, and includes compatibility. Because sometimes I could be very into something, and then sometimes I'm just like, I'm done with it, and I walk away. And we all have that to a certain extent. However, it's not as big as what we would want it to be, to where we can make those decisions how we do that. But because we want to, the principle is to seek a balanced, sustainable relationship. You want to have an above average relationship, because average relationships today are not even, I don't even think they're a thing. A lot of us have below average relationships because we look at the highest score that they have, especially in looks, but we won't trade down in looks to go up in personality. We won't trade down in looks to go up in compatibility. A lot of us, we say beauty's only skin deep, but in our mind of minds, we think we deserve a Idris Elba. We think we deserve a Nia Long. We think we deserve,
And again, we feel that we deserve somebody that's of status, but they might not even be perfect for us.
you're right. You're right. Because I know Miss Kim and I were talking about Bobby Brown and how he's been through the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
He's been through the most out of all of them. But the women still, when he gets on stage, the women still scream his name. They ain't screaming Ralph or Ricky or Mike or Johnny. They screaming Bobby. I'm
That's
like,
true.
I say to myself, I like, see, out of them, Bobby from the projects. They all from the projects, but Bobby from and Chocolate Pearl, you know what I mean by the projects.
Yeah. He's from the projects.
Yeah,
But
and
that's so you see, people can relate to him better than they can relate to the other ones.
right. But they all came from the hood. They just
Yeah, but they still was raised differently. You got to think about it. Even though they all came from the hood, they still was raised differently.
And
Look,
they
look
go
at you and I. We were raised differently than Jason and Alex,
right.
or Robin and Leslie and Dawn.
Yeah.
Even Tracy and Beverly. We
Yep.
would, it's just we even though we're all in the same projects, we still were raised differently.
Right.
And a lot of people can still to this day relate with Bobby Brown versus relating with the other ones because they carried themselves a certain way.
Right.
and
Right.
everybody had a Bobby Brown in their family. One,
Exactly.
you know,
But
Exactly.
I'm gonna even venture to say that it goes deeper than that. And I'm gonna venture to say that Bobby Brown, in a way, almost represents the late great Whitney Houston. His daughter passed. So yes, he has been through a lot. And
Yeah.
his fans are still rooting him on through all of that. And so to be able to stand through some of the trials and things that he has, a lot. I know now I don't have an attraction to Bobby Brown. I never, was into him like that, but I could see myself yelling and wanting to, let him know, yeah, we still here for you, as your people amongst everything that you've been through. I mean, you were with Whitney. That's huge. So
Yeah.
even though they went through their thing and everything, he's part of the culture. So still supporting and keeping him up is big.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. And I'm just saying it's just funny how they've been in the bit they've been doing this for almost 50 years. They've been doing what they've been doing for almost 50 years. And you know, there was a Miss Kim, what was that um new edition, the one you was watching that had they showed they showed him on stage and they showed Ricky looking at Bobby like, what you doing? What was the name of that documentary?
Talking about the new edition story.
Yeah, not the new edition story, but there was another one like that where they were talking like now. They were talking in the present, but they were showing
Oh,
videos.
with the one that says where they are now, something like that. But it's
Yeah,
a musical one that they go
yeah,
back to see what. Yeah,
yeah, and they were just showing, and you see Bobby was just extra. He
Oh
was just
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he
because
was
he was
just he
on
was just
something. He was on something at that
well
time.
that too, but he always craved the spotlight. He wanted to be the lead singer,
But out
but
of
Right.
all of them, Bobby Brown has had a reality show with Whitney and Bobby Christina, and the latest one was being Bobby Brown with the new wife and the new family. And just recently, he just lost his brother Tommy, and he still is out there touring on stage because I watched the video where he had just got through performing and he dedicated to Tommy and he just broke down, but he's still out there performing.
yeah, and you know what I said? I used to said Bobby can sing, Bobby can dance, but Bobby can't sing and dance. Even though no, I mean, if you really think about it, he got better. He got a lot better because when he started, because he was the first one to start wearing the headset with the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the first one to wear that, and so he was able to sing and dance like that. But before that, in New Edition, he would be behind, or he would, so I think that's why he stood out. I think that's why he stood out. But it was, I say that is that, he found his level. He found his level. And I agree with y'all in the way that, everybody sees, well, most melanated folks see Bobby Brown in themselves.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like you said, how we grew up. We were the Bobbies. We were the Bobbies. Tell me why. But it's just interesting on, where do you rate yourself, where do you rate others around you, and how you treat folks, because there's some people that are, they as homely as the day is long, but they good people.
Yeah.
And they might be right for you, but you ain't, but you so stuck on the physical that that person can be everything else to you. And one of my day ones, my boy Corky, he said when he got married, his second marriage, he said something that stuck with me. He said, she is not only good for me, she's good to me.
Right.
And that's a thing,
That's huge.
yeah, because not everybody for you is good for you, and not everybody good to you is for you. So when you find that person that's good for you and good to you, you need to, but a lot of us don't, a lot of us push that away because we think we can get it from somewhere else. That's, I mean, that's how we spent our teens and 20s. We were always looking for the best option. But when you're doing it in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, it ain't fun. It ain't cool. You out there, and I know none of y'all are out there like that, but y'all ain't out there wearing stuff that a 23-year-old should be wearing. I'm not walking around with tight jeans and a shirt and wearing colorful boxers in the YN. I'm not wearing the YN, uniform. But I can understand where they came from because at one point I was a YN. not as wying as they are now, but we had our moments, especially in the early days of hip hop. We were, everybody had to have a chain and their casals, and everybody
His
has their
house.
yeah, everybody. Well, I didn't have casals. I had Sergio Valentes. That's why we call ourselves the SV crew.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
we had silver chains. We didn't have gold chains because we didn't want our chains to get snatched. I wore ponies. I didn't wear Adidas back then or Nikes because I wanted to be different. But that was just me and my crew. That's how we were. We were the oddballs, the guys that were on the side, but we weren't super popular, but we weren't that crew everybody avoided because we used to throw some decent jams. But in the great galaxy of things, there are very few people that know you as you, who know the real you. And the good ones remind you of the real you when you think you ain't you, when you try to act like you ain't you. Because sometimes we put on airs when we get around folks we don't know because we want to set a good impression and we want to be, we're pushing like we're 8 or a 9 when we're 6. And that's your day ones and the people that know you will pop that balloon when your head get too big. And we've all been there. There's nobody in here who could say that there wasn't a point where they thought they was on top of everything. Nobody can mess with me. Nobody, I got it. And sometimes we get told reality comes and smacks us upside the head. Usually our friends are the people that really love us will smack us upside the head when we acting a fool. The people that tolerate us will let us act a fool so they can talk about us later. So that's one of those things that you got to understand who you with and how are you dealing with, and how are they dealing with you, how are they around you. I try not to be around people who disrespect wait staff. That's one of my big turnoff. If you're up there complaining to the wait staff or complaining about the wait staff, you're not a good person. You're not a good person. You're not always going to get good service. People have bad days, but
I'm not complaining or messing with them until I finish eating my food and pay for it. Then I can talk later. Because you ain't spitting or putting nothing or pissing in my food.
Amen, chocolate pearl.
that's what I'm saying. But there's some people that don't care. They just because they can, just because they can, and that's not cool because you know you ain't have to be so nasty. You don't have to be so nasty. And I'm not one that even if I get less than stellar service, I ain't gonna tip a lot, but I will tip. I'm not gonna insult them with a tip, give them a penny tip. No, they still got a job to do. You just ain't getting the tip you think you deserve. You get how well your service was. But those are things that come into your part of your build of the 777. Now, if you rate yourself, if you rate yourself on attractiveness, you rate yourself on personality, you rate yourself on how compatible you are. You got to look how compatible you are, not with only your partner or your potential partner, but people around you. Because if everybody else can't stand you, but your partner with you, you need to check yourself. If everybody act a fool around their partner, you need to if people don't want to talk to your partner, you need to look at what's going on, why they don't want to talk to your partner, and then find out what's the deal, and then be a decent person and tell them about it. Tell them the emperor ain't got no clothes. Tell them the emperor doing what
Sorry,
they
Trump don't know that he don't have no clothes on. Sorry.
well.
Oh, sorry, you weren't talking about him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he don't have clothes on. That dude don't have no clothes on, but he don't care. He's going to tell you he got clothes and just walk around swinging, hung like a light switch. You know, he got what they call LDE, little D energy, because that's how he act.
Yes,
That's
he
my
does.
that is my opinion, and it does not reflect on the views of the DFG corner. That's my personal opinion. Somebody in here might like a president with a a little Willy Wonka. I just happen to like my presidents who are actually human beings. Sue me
Amen.
for it. Sue me for it. But
He said, "Don't
um
be putting that on Willy Wonka." That's
I
bad statement.
apologize, Billy. I apologize, Billy Wonka. Yeah, I shouldn't be saying that. But at the end, I'm pretty much done. I'm pretty much done. We talked about it all. We got it all under the control. I want to appreciate everybody who's been on, Miss Nikki on YouTube, my family here, my family out there, Facebook land, and just just want if anybody has anything else to take, remember we're all 80% of us are average. We may be great in one thing, but we need to bring the other stuff up and try not to lose what we got because you can be so bad in one thing that everything it washes out all your good stuff. Chuck the Pro, you got anything before we close out?
No, I don't. It's just some good conversation, of course, and I thank you about the 777, but I believe in God and not the all that other crap.
I got you. I got you. And that's the thing is that it's all opinion here. It's all opinion, and I want to thank everybody for expressing their opinion. I'm just gonna say, Big Al, get well, get better. I know it's allergy season, and a lot of us are suffering.
Every
And I want,
morning.
yeah, and I want to say, never make love by the garden gate. Though love is blind, the neighbors ain't. Y'all be good.
Doses.